Listening to the melody that Billy played, Will was stunned. He never thought his daughter had inherited his musical talent. After hearing the tune just once, she could play a similar melody. Seeing his daughter so young and talented, Will decided to buy her a guitar as a birthday gift. While taking Billy home in the evening, Will shared the surprise with Annie, who was equally shocked and remarked that Billy had never touched a guitar before. Annie was all for Will teaching their daughter music, but she made it clear that there would be no rekindling of the royal flame. Will confessed he had no illusions about Annie, he just wanted to make up for the time lost with Billy. However, the bond through the daughter made their connection increasingly tight-knit. Watching the father and daughter get along so well, Annie felt a wave of happiness because her daughter would no longer feel inferior for not having a dad. From then on, they were like any typical family of three, tidying up the neglected rose garden and joking around while watering the plants. After dinner, they all went shopping together. Over time, Annie and her daughter became more and more immersed in this warm atmosphere. That night, the daughter suddenly hit Will with a tough question. "Why did you leave, Mum?" And it wasn't just her. Will froze for a moment, recalling how he once felt like a total failure. Annie still loved him deeply, but on their wedding day, a record company offered him the promise of stardom. Subtitles, however, the prerequisite was that he had to set off without any delay. Confronted with the allure of fame and fortune, Will opted to leave Annie behind and depart from his hometown. "Can I still call you Dad?" Genuine effort always yields rewards, and at this moment, Will finally received his daughter's acceptance. After experiencing this transformation, he rushed to share his joy with Annie and sincerely apologized for leaving her so many years ago. He bravely expressed his feelings, looking deep into Will's heartfelt and sincere eyes. Annie decided that for both her daughter and herself, they should give each other a chance. So, on the way back home, she suggested going on a date with Will, something he had been waiting for eagerly. As their first date after reuniting, Annie was determined to make it special. She pulled out her treasured dress and had her daughter do her makeup. To ensure Annie had a date to remember, Will arranged for a fancy car to pick her up. When Annie reached the meeting place, she was already in a flower sea, waiting for her family. Seeing the charming Annie, Will felt a touch of nerves as he took Annie's hand and led her toward the helicopter. When the helicopter took off, it was symbolic of their love's new beginning. As they soared above the city, even with the throngs of media below, Will boldly declared that Annie was the love of his life. Amid cheers, they hopped into a carriage and galloped away from the bustling crowds, arriving at the dance party. Melodious music, Will and Annie danced, then kissed unexpectedly. Just when they thought their happy lives would last forever, disaster struck at a family gathering when their daughter turned red from choking on food. Panic ensued as everyone rushed to help, with Uncle jumping in to perform the Heimlich maneuver, but at this critical moment, Will stood there blankly, memories of his mother's heart failure as a child resurfacing, an old haunting mental scar for him. Facing the scene again, he was overwhelmed with fear and helplessness. Fortunately, Uncle's efforts finally paid off. Her daughter managed to cough up the food that was stuck in her throat. With her safe, Will decided to slip away quietly, but later, Uncle confronted. As a father, Will just stood idly by observing when his daughter was in a critical situation. The uncle's accusatory words cut into Will's heart like a knife. With tears streaming down his face, Will confessed to Uncle that he never should have returned to Annie and his daughter's lives. The next morning, Will chose to run away again, returning to the big city to chase his dreams of fame. Upon hearing this news, Annie was in tears. Will returned to the city, but he was no longer the same man. At each concert, he was absent-minded, and his manager noticed the star's odd behavior. The manager couldn't help but ask Will what was going on. After learning the truth, he rushed to comfort him. He explained that Will felt paralyzed because he loved his daughter too much, making him helpless when she was in danger. These words, like morning light, pierced Will's heart fog. A brief thought, and he understood all. He immediately got off the plane and bought a ticket back to the small town. While waiting, he pulled out that old vintage phone. Listening to Anna's message from 8 years ago over and over, he finally worked up the courage to reply, "I've wanted to send you this message for 8 long years. I've always been eager to tell you why I did all of this. Because all this time, my mom has loved me. It was not until I met you that I truly understood what it meant to lose her. I couldn't accept it in my heart, so I just ran away. But I can't run away anymore. Then I met Billy. My heart opened up, and I thought I wasn't good enough for you. After returning to his hometown, Will rushed down his doorstep, but despite his loud shouting, he never got a response. Annie stood right in front of him. You've been carrying this old, ugly phone for years. I've been beaten up for the past for 8 long years because I never wanted to permanently leave you.